Hi, welcome everyone. It's Chris Petri. Thanks so much for coming by. We're doing a beautiful seascape painting here. We're going to actually create a seascape with a simple approach of design where we're going to actually take our painting, we're going to break it down into thirds, actually. So we're going to back this out just a little bit so you can kind of see. One third, and then 2/3 up here of sky. So 2/3 sky, 1/3 ocean and rocks. This seascape is going to be so much fun. We're going to just cover it here just within, 45 minutes or so. We're going to have the whole thing done. We're going to lay it out, pencil sketch in the rocks and the ocean, horizon line across here. And then once we're done with that, we're going to show you the exact way we're going to do this. We're going to use a kind of like a glazing technique, also alla prima, kind of a mix between the two. We'll get some washes of water on here, fresh, clean water, and then we'll start adding in our colors, let the colors flow down the page, down the paper, into the lower section here where the water is in the shoreline. We'll paint in our rocks, and then our shoreline, our distant horizon line here with our ocean. You'll have so much fun doing this painting. It's a great painting for anyone, whether you're a beginner, whether you're an intermediate watercolor painter, or whether maybe you've got 10 years under your belt as a watercolor artist. This is a great painting for any level of expertise, whether you are, again, just starting out, the extreme beginner, or you have lots of experience. This is just a fun one to do. Okay, so jump on in here, grab your paints, your brushes, your paper, just go for it, have a fun time. I show you A to Z, the whole enchilada, how to create this painting, okay? So let's get started right now. All right, you just saw the finished painting. Glad you can come by. We're here. We're going to do some beautiful crashing waves, a seascape painting, extreme beginners style. So this is going to be something where we're going to be using our extreme beginners palette. This is a Prang Oval 16 palette. I always like to mention my art supplies if I can. The Oval 16 is readily available. You can get it at any art supply store, big box art supply, and hobby shops. You can get this online on YouTube. Fantastic palette. Also comes with a brush too. So if you're just starting out and you're not sure, hey, you know what? You're saying to yourself, hey, Chris, I'm not sure I want to really paint or draw and paint in watercolor, but I want to give it a try anyway and start out. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe in a couple months or 6 months from now, I might not enjoy too much, and maybe I'm going to move on to something like acrylics or oil painting or who knows, sculpture. There's so many different things you can do in art. It's incredible. So don't ever limit yourself, But if you think you might want to start with watercolor, this is a great way to start. You get a Prang Oval 16 set with a brush, and you're basically in business. And then a little bit of watercolor paper. You can pick up any watercolor paper as long as it says watercolor paper. You can purchase that, of course, online or in any hobby shop or art supply store. So I do suggest you might get a few extra brushes. These few brushes here, you can get like a 5 or 6 pack of the Princeton Art and Brush Company brushes. Fantastic brushes. There's like 2 squares. Then there's like 2 round brushes that come with it too that are similar to this. So you can get a really 3 or 4 or 5 more brushes for like $10. Like these here. These are 2 flat brushes. I think it has 1 more flat brush in the set, and then a couple round brushes like this again, and you're all set. So between those two, the brush that comes with the set, the Oval Prang, and then you purchase an extra set of brushes for like $5 or $10. The Princeton Art and Brush Company synthetic brushes, synthetic watercolor brushes. You're really all set, and you don't have to worry about that. You're done. You have your brushes. You can work a couple years in watercolor with these few brushes, your Prang Oval 16 set, some watercolor paper, and you're good to go. So let's get started with this fun seascape painting. So the first thing we'll do is I'm just going to use like an office pencil, office style pencil, number 2. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of get an idea of where are we going to put we're doing a seascape, and you did see the finished painting just a second ago. Where are we going to put that horizon line of the ocean? Well, let's say about 2/3, 1/3 up from the bottom. So if you take your canvas or your watercolor paper, your frame, your rectangle, and you say, let's break it into thirds. So you have 1/3 there, 1/3 here, and another third. So I like to make it, make it really clear so you kind of see how I'm working here. So basically you can mark out your rectangle, 1/3, 1/3. So you have 1/3 here, 1/3 here, and another third here. Okay, so you have thirds. And so if you just go up from the bottom 1/3 here, that's your ocean horizon line, where you see the distant ocean there. Okay, then you might take an eraser. I'm just doing this line so you can actually see how it looks with the 1/3 up from the bottom. And you might erase some of that line. So you're going to have the crashing ocean waves and mist here. So we don't really want to see that line in this area here. So you can erase a little bit of that line. So what's next? We have what I'm doing here is I'm getting my 1/3 up from the bottom. These 1/3 and 2/3 is going to be the sky. And then let's get in a couple of rocks along the ocean shoreline. So I'm going to do a little bit of rocks here. Like that. Then maybe over here too, another rock here. And then maybe another one over here. So 1, 2, and 3. So kind of like 3 rock formations. In the coastline here, we have our distant ocean here, the horizon line of the ocean, and that's about it. And then we're going to have a little bit of sky here. But you're going to see how fun and simple this is. This is a real simple painting of some crashing waves, some rocks, some coastline, some sky. You're going to have a fun time doing this. So what I'll do now is we'll take a break. We've got our pencil sketch in here, just some rough pencil sketching of our rocks. 1, 2, and 3 of our rocks here. Our horizon line, which is 1/3 up from the bottom, and then the sky is going to be 2/3 up here. So you have 2/3 of sky, 1/3 of the ocean, and the coastline here where the rocks are. And that's basically it. And then we'll just create some beautiful washes in here, and you'll see how simple it is to create a really atmospheric, beautiful seascape scene where you kind of feel you're there, maybe at the shore standing there, and you can see the waves crashing and the ocean spray and the beautiful sky. It's a blue sky and some clouds maybe. We're going to have a lot of fun doing this. All right, so we'll come right back. I just wanted to get that pencil sketch in, show you how I did my divisions, my space divisions within my rectangle here. And then we can always just go around and make a border line around so you can kind of just see this is our border around the rectangle. I'll do that with a little bit of a darker lead there, like so. Okay, that's our rectangle. That's our space divisions, 1/3 up. We have the ocean horizon line where the distant ocean is, and then 1 2/3 up here is our sky. And there we have it. And then our rocks. We have some rocks where the waves are crashing in on the rocks. And you're going to see how fun this is and how much excitement we can create with our paintings. And you can make your rocks a little more jagged with sharp lines like that. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, we'll be right back. We'll start painting next. All right, everybody. Hey, we're going to get started with our painting now. So let's not hesitate. I have fresh, clean water here. So I have my canteen with fresh water right to the right of my working table here. And then, of course, we have our Oval 16 here, Prang Oval 16 watercolor set. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be really fun. Let's just, to start with, let's get some water on the paper and let it kind of start working. So let's get some fresh water. It doesn't have to be everywhere. Start out with some fresh, clean water. Just get it onto the paper a little bit. Take your brush and get some fresh, clean water on the upper portion of your sky, like that. So just get some water on there. Doesn't have to be everywhere, just get some on there. Okay. And then bring it, take some more water and bring it on down. Then you're going to want to go around the rocks with damp brush. So take your brush with damp water and go around your rocks here, but don't paint into the rocks, paint around the tops of the rocks. So we want to keep that area with no water on the paper. So let's do that, and then I'll do the same thing over here. So if you can imagine, I'm just going over the tops, the very top edges of the rocks with a damp brush, but I'm not painting over that line. So I'm keeping a damp brush on the top of this line here. Can you see how I'm doing that? Just like this, so that we keep this all dry paper here, and we're just having this damp brush go along the tops of the rocks. Just like that. If you can do that, that's going to be a huge benefit to making the painting look absolutely beautiful and fun looking and just exciting. Okay, so you have some damp paper everywhere. And then now it's just a matter of working in the colors, having fun. So let's take some sky color. We're going to keep this simple. Let's do some French ultramarine blue here, which is fresh squeezed tube French ultramarine blue, because I ran out of my Prang Oval 16. Can you believe it? Sometimes if you run out of paint here in your Oval 16 set, you can take tube paints like this, take some tube paints and squeeze it in there too. You can do that to hold you over until you buy your next set, your next Oval 16. So don't let that stop you if you run out of paint. Just remember, you're going to want to purchase a couple of tube paints. This here happened to be a French ultramarine blue in this section here, so I bought French ultramarine blue and squeezed it on in there. And that's all you have to do. And if you run out of sap green, you buy some sap green in a tube and squeeze it in there, so you have a little bit extra until you get another set, and then you can take this one out and put a new. It's as easy as this. What's beautiful about the Oval 16 set is once you buy a new set, you pull the old one out. If you ran out of color, you take that out. You take your new set. Let's say pretend this is a new set of paints, and then you just pull out your new green and you put your new green in like that. So that's how it works. You're never at a loss. You can always buy an extra set of this, and then when you run out of a color here, you just go into your new one and take these out and put them in, plug them right into your new palette, into your existing palette. This way you kind of keep using all your colors and you don't waste any color and paint. So let's do this. Let's get some of that French ultramarine blue, and I'm just splashing it on, having a good time. You can see that, right? Look at that. This is fun. That's what watercolor is about. Have fun with it. Splash on some color, a little bit of burnt umber too, just to kind of make that a little softer, that blue. We don't want to. Let's go with some Viridian green. I call this Viridian green because it's basically Viridian green. I get some of that in here, and then over here, Viridian green, a little more French ultramarine blue over here. Splash on some water, have a good time with it. Watercolor is best just letting it happen and not being too worried about what is happening. Just put it on the paper, let things flow around, have a good time with it. Look how much beautiful washes we have in the sky right now. And we haven't hardly done anything but just wet the paper first, mixed up a little bit of color, splash on some color, and we're already having a great time and getting some beautiful washes in there. And I'll be keen on putting a little bit of more paint there. You can kind of see I'm trying to get a little bit of, you know, darks and lights of color. Like I don't want it all kind of plain and bland looking. Let's mix in some darks and lights, which is more paint, less water. And then you can see how this all just flows down, and you just kind of work it around like that. Work the paint and the water down like this, lightly, carefully. Okay. It's as simple as that. Can you see what I'm doing here? I'm just taking all the wash that we put up here to start with. And then letting it just work its way on down. There's a little bit of an angle on my board here, so I'm working on a masonite board and then some foam board on top of my masonite board. And then I tape down my paper, my watercolor paper, and that should do it. And then naturally the water flows down a little bit, and then what I'll do is I'll blot up where the crashing ocean waves are right here. So I'm going to blot up there. And keep working on down this way. Blot up a little bit here and there. Okay, so there's more of that Viridian green down here at the bottom of the painting. I kind of feel like that's more of a, like that sort of, you know, kind of like a turquoise type color along the ocean at the really shallow areas of the where the shoreline is, and you have more of your darker blue up here where the sky colors are. So you kind of, but you probably want to leave that alone. Don't try to add too much water. Once you're you have your washes done up here, let that go. You do have a little bit of time to work up there and add a little bit of washes, but not too much time, really, honestly. So that's always the key to watercolor, is practicing a lot, and you'll find out when you can add more paint and water to an area and when you have to stop and not do anymore. Unfortunately, it is a thing you have to keep practicing at, and you'll get good at it as you practice, and that's all there is to it. Practice makes perfect. Okay, now I'll do some splashing with my brush like that. So that's some beautiful crashing waves, some splashes like so. You can do splashing after this all dries, but let's call it a day right now. Right there, that's good. Then let's start doing some brown, French ultramarine blue for our rocks, and some maybe some orange and red. So some red, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, touch of black maybe. Okay. And let's do some rocks. A little bit of red in there. A little bit of yellow maybe too. We'll mix in some And again, I just mixed up some French ultramarine blue, brown, burnt umber. So I'm calling these the colors that I normally use. So if you use my regular palette, you can use your normal, regular palette that we use all the time with our normal colors. You can just call that French ultramarine blue, burnt umber. Then we have some alizarin crimson, cadmium red, a little bit of cadmium yellow, lemon yellow, cadmium lemon yellow. And you just mix in a couple of little interesting colors there. There's another rock formate over here, a little rock over there. And I just try to make those rock formations like that. Then I go in with some more of that, what I call Viridian green. If you work with my palette all the time, my normal fresh squeezed tube paints, you'll know when I call Viridian green, it's like a turquoise color, right? Splash, do some splashing like that. A little bit of that, a little bit of this here, a little bit of waves, some wave type things. Soften them out. Just move your brush like the waves, right? The waves are like this. Move your brush like the waves, and then you have it. Your painting will look great because you're moving your brush the same way the waves go, the ocean, just like this. And I think right now we're really looking good here. And I'm blotting with the tissue just a little bit. Look at how great that looks so far. And then some French ultramarine blue mixed with the Viridian. And we'll just start maybe getting a little bit of that distant ocean there. Okay, like that. Just to start it. All right, so we're going to come back in just a minute. Let's take a break. It's always good to take breaks. And then we can finish this up. But I think we're almost done there. It's just a real simple, not too much fussing. You get your sky wash working, flowing on down into the bottom of the painting. You have your rocks. You draw your rocks in first. That's really the key there. You draw your rocks in first so that you have those in. And once you have your rocks in there, that's really it. And then now we'll put in our Viridian green and French ultramarine blue. Distant ocean there. And if you can get these few things done, you're golden, you're good. The only thing is you want to get this straight across, like so. And that's why we want to make sure we'll let this dry now, because too much. Okay, let's let that dry a little bit. And we'll clean up that distant ocean horizon line when we come back. But remember, you're now pretty much home free. Everything is pretty much 90% done. We're going to come back in just a minute, and we're just going to touch up this horizon line for our ocean, and maybe a few more splashes for some crashing ocean waves that feel the ocean waves crashing into the rocks, and we'll be done. I know you can do this. If you're an extreme beginner, you've got this. And of course, if you've already been painting for a while and you're a grizzled pro and you're just stopping by the channel and saying, whoa, what's this guy doing with watercolors? Hey, give it a shot. Try it out. I always say I have a subscribe button down here on the right-hand side below. Hit subscribe. I'm making videos every week, every month, and every year, week after week, month after month, and year after year. Why not just subscribe and work along with me here and work along with all of us here? We're having a great time, whether you're a beginner or you're a novice, you're just starting out and you maybe have a couple years under your belt, or whether you have 10 years of painting, watercolor painting. Never a dull moment here, and you can always learn new things here. Remember, you're always learning. I'm always learning. I'm still learning, and I'll always be learning about new techniques, methods in watercolor. So why not take the challenge? Keep coming along here, following along with us. Subscribe on the right-hand side below, and just stop by here every week, check in. If you like something we're doing, jump in, paint it, try it out, follow along with us. If not, maybe the next week you're going to see something you like. Okay, that's my format here. Everyone join along, come on over, try some painting in watercolor. Maybe you're an oil painter or you're, painting acrylics, but you want to try watercolors. Perfect place to come here, join us. We're doing watercolors week after week, month after month, and year after year. So let's keep going, getting better at our art, our watercolor art, and we will come back in just a second and finish up this painting. We're going to have a great time finishing up. That's the most fun part, is finishing the painting. So we're going to have a great time finishing up the last few minutes of our painting. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're finishing up our painting here. Again, we're doing that beautiful seascape. You really enjoy these, right? It's fun. Reminds you of being at the shore, seeing the waves crashing into the shoreline, crashing into some rocks, some spray, some ocean spray, some ocean foam, beautiful sky, and all the fun things you like about a seascape. So finishing up here, we're just really going to kind of try to really, I guess, maybe get some darker tonal values, which are going to be, again, this turquoise green, which I call Viridian green, which is basically my Viridian green, my normal Viridian green that I use. And then maybe a touch of brown, maybe a touch of green. And maybe we're just going to try to get a little exciting color here where the horizon line is, like that. And then what I'll do is, once I put some of that really beautiful, exciting, rich color, this really the French ultramarine blue, the Viridian green, a little bit of sap green, touch of burnt umber just to mellow it out a little. Once you get a little bit of that in there like so, then you can take your brush, rinse it off in fresh, clean water, and then dry off a little bit of the water off of your brush so you don't have too much water on your brush, and then you can kind of just flow that on down like so. Can you see how I'm doing that? And then I just do that wave, the magic of the waves. Just go back and forth like this and just take your brush and like that. But this just makes it a little more exciting because you have a little more of that darker color along here, like this. That looks a little more exciting for the painting. Then we're going to take some more of the color of the French ultramarine blue, Viridian green, and a little bit of the burnt umber is already in there, and we're just going to splash a little bit. Here and there, just like that. And then you can always blot up a little bit of the splashing. But that will really give you a feeling of the waves splashing up into the rocks. Just adding those little bit of speckles and splashes. Not too many, just a few. And then you can even blot up a few if you want. You blot them up, make them lighter, like that. And I think that really works wonderfully. Like that. I add a little more splashing there. Like that. And just by adding those splashes by the rocks, makes it feel like you're kind of seeing some action in there, some splashing. And then we also left some white paper over here, just so we wanted to have some, maybe the mist and things flowing through here. And you can do some over here. You can always wet the paper over here and dampen it up a little bit. and then take some blot some paper out like that, and splash over here too a little bit. So you can have fun. Try to experiment a little bit. Watercolor is about experimenting too. Never forget that. You can always experiment with watercolors. Try some different ideas as you go. Maybe you'll come up with your own ideas too, and that's a great thing too. You'll feel very excited that you've come up with some new ideas. You might, just soften up a couple spots with your tissue and some damp paper. Some of you might put in a little small boat in the distance there, whatever it is. But I think we have it. We really did a great job here of getting the overall idea of this. And then you could add a little dark there and some dark there like that. Add a little couple spots of darks with some of the black in your oval prang set like that. And I'm just making some rock shapes with that darker dark, kind of like sharp lines like that. A little bit of some red, mix in some warm colors too, some different colors in there. Over here too, get in some of that red, maybe a little bit of orange. A little bit of orange in there too. Why not get some colors in there, right? Have some fun. Maybe a little more splashing down there like this at the bottom of the painting. And you can always blot up a little bit too. And there you have it. All right, everybody. Have a great time with this. Seascapes are so much fun. You can do spin-offs of this and do different rock formations. Have fun with it. Enjoy. We'll see you on the next video. And again, thanks for watching. And I know you're doing a great job out there, everyone. Having fun here, especially if you're just starting out for the first time. This is a great beginner's style painting where you're just doing some real simple ideas of sky washes, a couple of rocks, and some ocean, and some splashing, and you've got it. You've already done a beautiful seascape that's under your belt. Do 3 or 4 of these, put them in a folder. If it comes out really great, put it up on the wall, put it in a frame. Put it in a frame, mat it and frame it. Put a mat around it, frame it. If it comes out really good, you can just go out to the art supply store. You grab a mat like this and you frame it. This is obviously a little bit small, the mat here, but you get a larger one. I'm trying to think if I have another larger one here. I don't know. Grab yourself some mats from the store. You can make your own mats by cutting your watercolor paper into 2 L's, 1 L, 2 L's, and you can take those and you can do your own mats like that. And you make them as big as you want or as small as you want. You can make really large style versions of this with some watercolor paper. And then all of a sudden you can start taking your paintings and matting them and kind of looking at what size mat you want to use. You want to shrink it down, make it smaller. You want to widen it up, make it larger. So you have some fun with your watercolors, with your matting and framing too. Put your paintings in frames, please. If your painting comes out good, there's no reason why you should not. Put a mat on it and frame it, and you can give it to a loved one, a friend. You can put it online and sell it. You can go put it in a gallery. You can put it in a show, whatever you want. But get excited about your watercolors, okay? Have fun with it. Enjoy your watercolors. And again, if it comes out good, put a mat on it, frame it, and just go for it, okay? We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.